Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Live Free Now show, bringing you the news, views, tips, and tools you can use to live a free and prosperous life. Yeah. Hope you're having a beautiful day. This is Live Free Now, number 192. Today, we're going to be covering the great news. Have you heard? He is freed. We're not going to say he is risen.
I was going to say.
Ryan's going to blaspheme all over this place. We got the one, the only Ryan Manitti.
What up, y'all?
Rocking a flannel. How much of your wardrobe is flannels?
In the winter, 90%.
Is that an Illinois thing?
I actually never wore flannels in Illinois. I only started doing it during the Texas winter.
Ever since he became a rancher.
That's right.
Come on. All righty, folks. We're going to talk about that. Of course, we're going to bring you the Conspiracy Corner.
We're going to talk more about flannels.
The great flannel conspiracy.
We're going to have a total one segment dedicated to flannels.
You know, people like their flannels. You can never have too many flannels in your wardrobe.
Unless it's summer.
You know, we did the...
Or if it's summer and you've got a cut-off flannel, like Ronnie Coleman used to wear to the gym, for all you like nerds about bodybuilding or lifting.
We have a huge contingent of bodybuilding nerds in the audience.
I'm sure. I know that Agnes and Gertrude and...
Was that a riff on our audience skewing older women?
No.
Those sound like older women names.
Agnes and Gertrude?
Yeah.
I mean, when's the last time you heard of someone being named Gertrude?
Might name a kid Gertrude one of these days.
All right, book it. His next daughter will be named Gertrude.
Book it, look it, rook it. I was going to say we just recently had an incredible weekend of events over at Radical Roots Ranch. Why don't you break it down what we had take place just recently?
Yeah, so we had a wonderful members meetup where all of the Live Free Academy Accelerator members came out to the ranch. We had some local unvaccinated, altered with like any kind of GMO grain. I mean, it's basically pasture raised, unvaccinated, no hormone beef that we serve to all of our Live Free Academy members. And then we also had some live music, had some drinks. I was drinking sparkling water because I'm doing dry January, although I'll say it was my biggest temptation yet. I really wanted an ice cold beer while I was grilling. So didn't end up doing it, staying on the dry January train, but alas, I was tempted. Then the next day we had a more general meetup. We did a feather feast where we were showcasing our ducks and our chickens. We also got some quail added to the property, which they've already shit out 3 eggs. So that's nice that we got some new production on the farm from our new animals already. And we had a great presentation from both Matt Powers and Robert the Quail Guy. You can obviously check out Matt Powers, or if you want to check out Robert Bright, the Quail Guy. I believe it's the Quail Guy LLC if you want to go check his stuff out. But both great speakers. Really, it was interesting learning about the quail because you can do that in an apartment. People have like little quail farms in their apartments. And basically, you know, even if you live in an HOA, people aren't going to know that you have quail just because they're so quiet. And they'll just keep producing. They don't need very much space. They like being compact and close together. So you can have a lot of them in a little amount of space, whether you're in an HOA or an apartment or whatever your situation is. You can put them in the garage if you want to do that. But yeah, really interesting stuff. Great weekend of events out at the ranch. And for anyone who's not an Accelerator member, I'd encourage you guys to go check that out.
Excellent. Thanks for that recap. So let's get on to some news today. Okay, so we're going to be covering a lot of Trump stuff, my friends. A lot of Trump stuff will be covered here on the show today. But first of all, let's go ahead and hit you with...
I love when you're like, my friends, a lot of Trump stuff will be covered today. All right, here I go as I search for the thing. Where is it? Oh, there it is. I just got to finish this sentence and then we'll get to it. All righty then.
Are you done? He's doing that because I always burn him up on his 2-word answers. And we're like, hey, Ryan, have some commentary as my co-host. And he's like, it was good.
I'm just
that's interesting. All right. Anyway, I was pulling something up. You sorry. All right. So guess what, guys? Ross Ulbricht, the creator of the Silk Road online marketplace, aka Dread Pirate Roberts, whose mother, Lynn Ulbricht, has been tirelessly fighting for his freedom for 12 years now. He was pardoned unequivocally, a full pardon, meaning that it'll be expunged from his record just yesterday. In fact, we were doing the Unlock Your Financial Sovereignty webinar live. There's another one coming up tomorrow at 11 a.m., by the way. You can sign up for free at livefree.academy/unlock, livefree.academy/unlock. We were in the middle of the live broadcast, and I kept seeing in the chat, we're getting word that Trump, actually Ferdinand was in the chat and he private messaged me, we're hearing some murmurs that Trump pardoned Ross Ulbricht. And then folks started posting about it in the chat and went and confirmed it. And sure enough, he pardoned old Ross. And, you know, I want to share this here because not only did he pardon Ross, but he also called Ross's mom, Lynn, and he posted this at 4:12 p.m. here. I just called the mother of Ross William. Oh, it did say Albright. He changed it to be correct. Ulbricht, to let her know that in honor of her and the libertarian movement, which supported me so strongly, it was my pleasure to have just signed a full and unconditional, I said unequivocal, unconditional pardon of her son Ross. Now, this is the beauty of it. The scum that worked to convict him were some of the same lunatics who were involved in the modern-day weaponization of government against me. He was given 2 life sentences plus 40 years. Absolutely ridiculous, he says. And I think it's ridiculous as well. Now, I was at the Ross Ulbricht trial in New York City. I think this was 2014. Myself and Derek Bros were there. I was reporting for the Liberty Beat news service, which was a 5-minute daily radio news service that I used to operate. And I tell you what, going into the belly of the beast, going through the metal detectors, and then being in the courtroom, seeing all the facade of justice and this clown of a judge that tried to make an example out of Ross. And then, of course, the parading out of the U.S. attorneys and all their witnesses. It just was definite scummery. And so I really appreciate Trump calling it out, because we sent an email just a second ago. Let me go pull that email up real quick because I want to read some quotes from this judge. There it is right there. We sent an email. Ross is free. You can sign up for our daily email newsletter too to stay on top of all this stuff. livefree.academy/newsletter, livefree.academy/newsletter. But I just want to read some quotes from this terrible, terrible judge. Oh, link. That's not what it should say. I just want to share from this terrible, terrible judge what she had to say right here. She said, this is Judge Catherine Forrest. You don't fit a typical criminal profile. It's not TV or the movies in here. You're educated. You've got 2 degrees, an intact family, and 98 people willing to write letters on your behalf. And yet we have you, and you are a criminal. It was a carefully planned life's work. It was your opus. You wanted it to be your legacy, and it is. Silk Road's creation shows that you thought you were better than the laws. Your case is without precedent. You are first. For those considering stepping into your shoes, they need to understand there will be severe consequences, very severe consequences. There must be no doubt that lawlessness will not be tolerated. Well, just reading those words that she wrote during his sentencing, it brings a smile to my face, because I guess lawlessness and agorism is very much tolerated under the Trump administration. We'll share more about my take on all that here in a sec. But this is Ross's words as Dread Pirate Roberts, just to underscore that this really is it's an agorist political statement, what he was doing. It's not that he desired to have drugs sold on this online market, is that he was trying to show that we, the people, hold the power, especially when we use these decentralized technologies like Bitcoin. Silk Road was founded on libertarian principles and continues to be operated on them. Anything you do that is outside the control of the state is agorist. So in some sense, we are all agorists, whether we know it or not. The great thing about agorism is that it is a victory from 1,000 battles. Every single transaction that takes place outside the nexus of state control is a victory for those individuals taking part in the transaction. Liberty is not a pill that makes men angels. What it does do is limit the extent to which evil can be expressed in the world. Wow, what great words. What are your thoughts there, Mr. Rye Guy? It's interesting.
I hate the government.
He hates the government.
I don't know. I was leaving the office last night, and I pull out of the street where our office is, and as soon as I turn onto the street, I get pulled over.
You got pulled over last night?
I got pulled over last night.
In Bastrop County?
After like a 12-hour day at the office, 1 hour just going to the gym in between sessions. But after like a 12-hour day, this guy pulls me over for expired tags. And then he acts like he's doing me a favor. He's like, well, I'm going to cite you for one of the expired tags. The other one, I'll just give you a warning. And it's like, you fucking piece of shit. Like, that's what I wanted to say to him. And then he wouldn't even explain to me what I was signing for. He's like, just sign it. Just sign it. And I'm like, what am I signing for? Can you tell me that? He's like, well, I was about to explain it to you. I'm like, okay, then explain it to me.
You were all tooty with him?
Well, because he started being a jackass. And so I was like, all right, dude, tell me what I'm signing for. And he's like, well, I was going to explain it to you. I'm like, fine, then explain it to me. He's like, well, this isn't an admission of guilt or anything. It's just saying that you'll show up in court if you don't work something out. I was like, is there a write out or something that I can see that says that and not just take your word for it? He's like, no, we don't do that. I was like, okay, dude. So I begrudgingly signed for it, and I'm still debating whether I'm going to go to court or not. And just
get the tags updated.
Just take it all
Your
the way.
time's more valuable.
Fuck that.
You have nothing to stand
But that's
on.
what the government does. You know, like I see what happened to Ross and what that lady said. And all I can think of is, you know, Jesus being nailed to the cross and him being like, Father, they know not what they do. Like, that's just what I have to repeat in my mind, because that guy has no fucking idea that he's just pulling innocent people over for expired tags so they can pay more money to the state. For what? I wasn't speeding. I didn't break any laws of the road. Ross, he wasn't, you know, explicitly condoning people selling drugs on the Silk Road. He just made it available for anyone to sell anything. And so it's not like he was selling the drugs or anything like that, but like all of this stuff goes out of the window, and the government will just take every opportunity that they can to fuck you raw. Sorry.
Okay. Tell us how you really feel. Man, you had it so much worse than Ross did.
I know.
Anyway, yeah, the government's terrible, and it's just the smugness, the assumption that they have total authority over you. And that's why this Judge Forrester, was so, or was it Forrest? Catherine Forrest? Whatever clown ass. She was so over the top, Catherine Forrest, yeah, because Ross, what he created with the Silk Road was beyond their control in large part, right? And interestingly enough, she's like, the lawlessness will not be tolerated. We want to set an example. Shortly thereafter, first of all, there was already copycat dark markets on Silk Road, by the way, which is actually pretty cool. And for folks not familiar with like really what we were dealing with, this was early on in Bitcoin's history. I don't know exactly when it launched, maybe 2011. Ross Ulbricht was a student, University of Texas graduate, I believe, born and raised here in Austin, Texas. In fact, my children, we used the very same midwife that Lynn used with Ross. And my daughter shares the same birthday as Ross, which is pretty interesting. So he created this website that could only be accessed on the deep web using Tor, the onion router. And you go to what's called a hidden service. And these hidden services on the dark web are set up in such a way that they're extremely hard to track down. The server for the Silk Road was in Iceland. And it wasn't until the federal government, at the behest of Senator Chuck Schumer, started poking around that they started looking at this. In fact, there's a huge, rich history. There was like a DEA or a Customs and Border Patrol agent that started seeing the drugs being shipped through the mail, through the post office. And we're going to need to take a look at the chat here. Shout out to everybody that's watching on YouTube, on X, on Facecrack as well. And so he started to see that there was these drugs being sent and that there was like a pattern and they all had similarities between them, and people were sending ecstasy and LSD and stuff. And so he pulled them aside and started to see, okay, well, let's see if this is picking up. So he launched an investigation. I think he was a DEA agent. And then the FBI was simultaneously launching an investigation. They started collaborating together, and they tracked it back to Silk Road. Along the same time, Chuck Schumer and other senators were getting all their panties in a bunch and all worked up about this. And the investigation started kicking off. So again, I was there at the trial to hear all the nitty gritty. And it was actually the case that Ross was busted at a library and he had his laptop open, and the laptop was encrypted and set up to where if you shut the laptop, it locks everything and you can't open it back up unless there's a encryption password. Well, they were able to sting him and get him to go. They were able to sting him, pull him away, and have the laptop open. It had all these master files and all these logs and stuff. There was so much chicanery in the trial as well. There's one thing that we learned in the trial. Come here. Speaking of agorism, here's our office mascot, Agora. He does cute and a little. Hey, he's wearing a flannel. It's Flannel Friday. It's Wednesday, John. Either way. So this is Agora. Anyway, what we learned in the Silk Road trial is that Bitcoin wasn't as private as we had thought. We knew there was a transparent blockchain, but I was not fully aware of the depth of analysis that could take place. And so the federal government hired these firms. Not only were there FBI, there was a very few FBI agents that really even knew what was going on, but they hired these outside firms, the Department of Justice, that were able to track and analyze all this stuff. There was still a lot of gaps in their analysis, but they were allegedly or apparently able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. There was all sorts of chicanery that took place as well. I still see on Twitter and on social media, total clowns come in and they're like, I don't know why you're defending this guy. I thought conservatives stood for rule and law and order. This guy tried to hire murder for hire, right? So there's this whole thing about murder for hire. Now, in the New York federal court, he was never charged with murder for hire. There were charges pending in Maryland, I believe, but those charges were dropped. So it was basically like this big misdirection and confusion play in order to discredit Ross. So we're not just talking about drugs and buying and selling drugs peacefully online, which, by the way, this website marked a massive example of harm reduction, because people are still going to buy drugs, but instead of having to meet in the alleyway or buy stuff that could be laced with fentanyl or get robbed by somebody when you're trying to buy something, or get involved in some kind of gang activity or whatever, you're able to buy online when there's a eBay style reputation rating system. So, but besides that, the whole murder for hire thing was total fugazi. It was just inserted in there as a means of discrediting Ross. Come to find out, as the trial progressed, and especially thereafter, once it wrapped up, there were actually federal agents that were going in and using the Dread Pirate Roberts moniker, and there were federal agents that were stealing Bitcoin from the entire operation. So, it was like tons and tons. I don't even know how many Bitcoin it was, but there was so much Bitcoin that was confiscated. Most of the Bitcoin, a significant chunk of the Bitcoin that the United States government is holding right now, was Ross's Bitcoin. And I know there's some cool folks on Twitter that are like, well, now that he's free, give him his property back, give him his Bitcoin back. Just a wild, wild time to be alive. So let's see some of the chats here. We got Daryl Ernest, who's a big fan. He's always watching the show. Shout out to Daryl. Get an affidavit demanding the courts prove they were standing to talk to a man. They have standing to talk to a man. The guy who runs the Sovereign Living channel says the courts have never attempted to prove that they actually have the standing to talk to a man. be careful to present yourselves as anything other than a man or a woman. What do you say, Ryan? You up for all that?
I'll have to look further into it. I don't really know that much about the sovereign stuff, so I'd have to take a deeper.
I'd advise against it. We need you here at the office, at the ranch. Your wife needs you, and it's not going to go anywhere unless you're willing to really research how to do that.
I'm
right?
Gonna risk it all,
and then do an appellate, and then you got to appeal it, because the lower municipal courts, was it a Bastrop County Sheriff or Bastrop Police Department?
It was Bastrop Police.
BPD.
I know.
I'm past.
The sheriffs wouldn't do me like that.
The sheriffs are chill.
Sheriffs are chill.
Anyway, there's a whole ball game. Plus, you had a driver's license and you had plates and all sorts of stuff. But I went down that rabbit hole for a while, and the lower courts always found you guilty, and then you have to appeal it. But it's like, am I going to go through all that? It costs time. It costs money. It costs attention. But there is something to be said there.
I like Jeffrey's comment, cop-splaining. That's exactly what he did, dude. He was just like, well, like, just like no one had ever asked, what am I signing for? So, yeah.
Yep. All right, my friends. Okay, so shout out to Free Ross all the way. Shout out
Catherine. Ross has been released. He's already
been released.
And there's some pictures that I believe his mother has taken of him and posted online already. In regards to getting him on the podcast, I actually saw this thing that's like, Donald Trump condemns Ross Ulbricht to 20 years of libertarian podcasts. So I think he'll be quite busy going on all of the top libertarian podcasts, but we can certainly put in a good word and see if he'll come on.
I got something to share on this note too. So, and shout out to Catherine and Jeffrey and Daryl, regular listeners. Of course, we got Vanessa Velez rocking and rolling. You two bickering's my favorite part of the show. This fucking guy. I like mispronounced a word a second ago, and I knew in my head Ryan's probably waiting to call that out. Do you remember? Did you think that?
I think that's John's inner dialogue of how he hears me. Yeah, dude. Ryan's just waiting to call me out.
Yeah,
this is how Ryan talks.
You're all derped out, is why.
I swear I haven't gotten more than 4 hours of sleep in a night for the last 3 weeks.
Just notice how he doesn't come to work prepared to work. He's all
coming from this guy.
Take a freaking melatonin.
You should have seen him yesterday.
Yesterday
I'm all moped out, dude.
That's how I sound?
Yeah.
That's how you sound. All right. I'm trying to pull up Twitter. It's all jacked up on this stupid Brave browser. Speaking of being ill prepared, what I wanted to point out, I don't need to point it out. I don't need to post it. I don't need to read the post. Here we go. Look, I'm doing other things. So what I'm trying to say. So I just want to shout out Lynn Ulbricht real quick. I had a tweet that Lynn just wrapped up an 11-year masterclass on persistence. So kudos to Lynn for being one hell of a mom, just going into total mama bear mode for over a decade. Going to the podcasts, going to the meetups, speaking at the conferences, networking, getting political, pushing the petition, just nonstop. She never rested ever.
Getting
and always
the president
had hope.
to pardon her son, to absolve him.
Well, let me comment on that bit. So the Libertarian Party historically has been completely inept and irrelevant. No relevance whatsoever on the political stage, especially at a national level. Give me a freaking break. But more recently, there was this party takeover by the Mises Caucus, which was led by this guy named Michael Heiss. And it was a bunch of younger folks, a lot of internet types, but their philosophy was more like radical libertarianism, Ron Paul revolution, voluntarism. Traditionally, the Libertarian Party was like a lot of just self-important people that were like feeling as though they're better than others, or maybe they couldn't make it in the Republican Party. And it's like just a bunch of old cringy white guys in suits that go to try to feel good about themselves for getting elected to the state chair or some bogus nonsense. Anyway, not to offend anybody, but the Libertarian Party Mises Caucus took over leadership of the Libertarian Party. And this woman named Angela McArdle became the Libertarian National Committee chair. Now, I was watching from the sidelines. All right, they're actually shifting their strategy. I'm still not a political guy, and Libertarian Party still is lame, right? But I was watching and just, recognizing and having some respect for when they're actually making stuff happen. But it was at this Libertarian National Convention in 2024 where they invited RFK Jr. and Donald Trump to speak. And there were backdoor dealings where this Angela McArdle lady's like, hey, well, maybe we can get some of our people to support you in your presidency if you do some stuff for us. And one of those key things was to free Ross and to pardon Ross. So we got some clowns in the chat here. Anyway, don't let our wives read all that. I'm just kidding. All right. So anyway, this woman, Angela McArdle, was able to wheel and deal and actually play the game of politics. That's how it's played. It's a nasty game. I don't play it anymore myself, but when I played it, I played to win. You got to make deals with people. You got to find leverage. And so it was actually after the last election went south, Trump was on some podcast or some show complaining that the libertarians who ran some irrelevant person, Jojo Jorgensen, who was like libertarian light and just not even palatable or like intriguing in the least bit. Actually, she was too palatable. She was just so plain Jane, normal, boring, not standing out in the least bit. They ran her. She gets, however many votes, a couple million or whatever, garbage. But Trump didn't lose by that big of a margin. And so he's like, the libertarian votes cost me the election. Anyway, fast forward, Angela McArdle's wheeling and dealing. You scratch our back, we'll scratch your back. She and many other libertarians and people in the freedom movement supported Trump and most definitely played a role in his significant margins. And that did not go unnoticed. He promised to free Ross on day one. It wasn't until day two. So even though I'm a big critic of Donald Trump and I didn't vote for, we got stuff Bud does. He's got his ends don't justify the means. Going against your own party isn't cool. It's awesome that Ross is out though. Well, stuff Bud does. I appreciate you watching the show, but I mean, come on, the Libertarian Party has no impact at all on anything. So it's like, what's the point of the institution? That's what I was saying earlier. I believe for the longest time, the whole point of the Libertarian Party was self-preservation. Texas Libertarian Party, we used to do coalitions with them, single issue coalitions, but I was on their email list and they're like, great victory with the Texas Libertarian Party. We maintained ballot access for the next election. And that's like the whole thing was just to maintain ballot access, never win any statewide races or anything. What I realized a while ago is like if these state libertarian parties want to have an impact, they need to play kingmaker. They need to say, we're going to put all our efforts into these 2 or 3 races. We're going to run against a weak incumbent, and we're going to throw all our weight behind the other person, the Democrat or Republican, and we're going to completely attack this guy. Then when you start to develop the reputation of a kingmaker, the other political parties start to pay attention to what your positions are. Anyway, that's something that I postulated being a good strategy, and that's the exact strategy that Angela McArdle ran. So, you know what's less cool than he says going against your party isn't cool. I think being irrelevant for 20 years is not cool. Getting Ross free is pretty freaking cool. Either way, so shout out to Angela McArdle. Way to play politics. Way to play a major role in having Ross freed. And now let's shift gears to talk about Trump. So we're already getting pushback like, oh, don't you want to apologize now, John? You told people not to vote for Trump and oh, Trump's great. And there's this guy I blocked on Facebook that was just such a pest. He was a pestilent pest. What does pestilent mean? Ryan's a word guy. He gets it from his mom.
Pestilence.
Yeah, what does it mean? He doesn't know.
An abundance of pests.
Let me know in the chat. See if you can beat me. I'm searching it up right now.
Pestilence.
Let's give our guesses, though. Let's all give our guesses.
Pestilence definition.
Pestilence. Does it have to do with the pest?
Pestilence is it's like a swarm.
A swarm.
A swarm of pests.
Oh, shit. We need the mic over here closer to this guy. A swarm of pests, Ryan says. All right, that's what Ryan's going with. Let me know in the chat. Don't say it if you actually know.
Ridden with pests.
I say it's a quality of something negative that is haven't been denigrated, something just like yucky and off. It's a negative quality that is applied to something. Pestilence. Let's see. A fatal epidemic disease, especially bubonic plague. Wow, we were way off. But better than a swarm.
Okay. Well, now we know.
Yeah, but there's other secondary, dude. Something that is destructive or pernicious. There we go. Anyway, there's this guy that's just being such a pestilent clown on my Facebook. So I blocked him, but my lovely wife didn't block him. And he's like ripping me. I'm an ego guy, orange man, bad syndrome, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, just want to reiterate, as we've shared in our emails, as we've shared on the show, we most definitely will applaud Trump when he does things right, which he has done, pulling out of the World Health Organization, freeing Ross above all else, ending a lot of the diversity, equity, inclusion stuff in the federal government. That's great for American culture. But you got to understand, my friends, the game here is the game of a con man, a confidence man. Why is it called a con man? The con stands for confidence. They got to get you to be confident and gain their trust before they can pull the ultimate scam on you. And that scam is rolling out technocracy. And let's go ahead and report on a couple things here. And this can tie in with the conspiracy corner here. So let's go ahead and hit it with the conspiracy corner. Yeah. Whoa, whoa, whoa. He doesn't like that. Yeah, 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 yeah. All right. So,
One thing I'll say real quick.
He's got something.
Apparently, and I saw a video to confirm this, Trump did not put his hand on the Bible while taking the oath of office.
That's what you got for Conspiracy Corner?
That I just saw this last night.
I saw it too.
He did not put his hand on the Bible. So my contention since 2019, I believe, has been that Donald Trump is the Antichrist. Now, I think I'm going to take the L on that, ultimately, that he is actually not the Antichrist.
Oh!
But that has been my position for the last 5 or 6 years. But him not putting his hand on the Bible definitely signals something that, there's going to be some stuff coming down, which I do believe that stuff is going to start happening in the second half of 2025. So I think it's a sign of things to come.
It's written in the stars that something's going to happen in the second half of 2025.
Why didn't he put his hand on the Bible? That's really weird.
It is weird.
He did it in 2017 when he was being inaugurated.
Yeah, let's check out the picture. I think his wife looked awesome. I like that, Melania.
Why does she has the hat covering her eyes?
She had the Carmen Sandiego look going. It was wild. People said it was symbolic of Space Force. All right. We're not going to turn into one of those commentary shows that says the dumbest stuff ever. Look at this little still shot here. People's like, let's get the
We're not saying
the
dumbest stuff ever, but
I know we're commenting on her outfit though, but it's all good.
Oh,
I think she's beautiful. So is his daughter.
I don't know. She doesn't look as good
In that picture?
Yeah, something happened to her.
Satan?
I think she's wearing a mask. It's a reptilian humanoid.
Oh my God.
It's a reptilian humanoid.
You started going off the rails on the Tom Woods show, and he's like, no. He wasn't resonating with our conspiracy stuff. Anyway, as you can see, his hand is clearly not on this pile of Bibles. I presume it's maybe an official government one or a family Bible, or I really don't know. Maybe it's Trump's Bible because it's gold on the side. Anyway, yeah, that's definitely something that's telling. So that's a little sidetrack conspiracy corner. And now to the other conspiracy corner. Conspiracy Corner Part 2.
To talk about the Jews.
Oh, we went there on the J's. Pull the YouTube feed. Easy kidding, though.
Well, Jared Kushner, there's that element.
Woo! We definitely know that the Z's, the Zionists, have infected the Trump administration. That's a big piece of it. Okay, so I want to share we've been saying on the show that this is something that I kind of had a realization that the Department of Government Efficiency, it's more about eliminating bureaucracy and replacing bureaucracy with technocracy. Rule by science, rule by algorithm, artificial intelligence, technocratic scientific dictatorship type of stuff. I could see it right on from the get-go. That's what's going to take place here. And sure enough, the executive order, all right, so this is the actual executive order, establishing and implementing the President's Department of Government Efficiency, executive order. All right, so we go through yada, yada, yada.
How many executive orders they won? Was it 20?
A lot. It was quite a few.
Yeah, 20
I was
plus.
impressed with that. You got to give it to him too. He's signing executive orders while the media is asking him a bunch of questions, which I thought was pretty cool. Okay, so it's a temporary organization. It's not an actual government agency, just as we knew. But I want to show you here a big piece of what they're doing. This is it right here. In all honesty, this is probably going to be the bulk of what they do. Section 4, modernizing federal technology and software to maximize efficiency and productivity. The USDS administrator shall commence a software modernization initiative to improve the quality and efficiency of government-wide software network infrastructure and information technology systems. Among other things, the USDS administrator shall work with the agency heads to promote interoperability between agency networks and systems, ensure data integrity, and facilitate responsible data collection and synchronization. So here's my take. A huge piece of this DOGE agency is going to be paving the way for the United States government to be able to seamlessly transition to technocracy. Now, this was 2 days ago. Yesterday, what do we see? We see Trump kick the microphone over to Larry Ellison, the CEO or founder of the chief technology officer of Oracle, which is this massive database tech company. And they're talking about, and my apologies for not having better articles pulled up for this. They launched Stargate. Okay, Stargate. What a crazy name for something like that. They launched Stargate and there's going to be a $500 billion worth of investment. And it's a conglomeration of tech firms like OpenAI, there's that dork Sam Altman, and other companies. They launched Stargate AI project to create a cancer mRNA vaccine. They're talking about using AI to early detect cancer, and then within 48 hours, they can spin up a mRNA gene therapy. It's not even a vaccine, gene therapy shot to go in and eradicate the body of cancer. Now,
that's that Will Smith movie.
Which one?
I Am Legend. That's how everybody turns into zombies. They started taking the cancer vaccine, wow, which worked at first, but then eventually turned everyone into zombies.
Well, there you go.
I'm just saying. I mean, like, here we go. This is the thing.
Truth is stranger than fiction. So on top of this, they are going to be creating a massive, one of the first initiatives of this Stargate project, which is a company, is going to be creating a massive data center in Texas. They're also working with the NVIDIA, this graphics card company, CEO as well. Now, this is all merging together. At the same time, I don't know if this was a Larry Ellison video that resurfaced, but there was a Larry Ellison video going around, and I wish I could pull up Twitter on this browser. It's all jacked up. Ryan, why don't you comment on this a little bit further? I'm going to go ahead and pull that up so we could watch that. What do you got going on this whole techno front?
So in I Am Legend, I know John loves when I go down those rabbit holes. Yeah, you know, I actually noticed this earlier this morning. Above Phone, sponsor of the Live Free Now show, or previous sponsor, they had mentioned that this was going on, that Trump was going to be giving $500 billion to Oracle and OpenAI so they could start creating vaccines. And their whole point was, oh yeah, let's go ahead and, you know, create more mRNA vaccines instead of, you know, expanding liberty in certain areas, or
Yeah, the Maha thing. It's like we
Or
wanted
Maha.
tallow for our French fries, and instead we get AI driven mRNA vaccines. Come on.
Steak and Shake, they just switched all of their stores domestically in the US to tallow.
Do you eat at places like Steak and Shake?
No, I don't. But maybe I would if they were cooking with tallow. I mean, shit, if Steak and Shake was cooking with like pasture raised beef and beef tallow, I mean, I'd be eating there all the time. If I needed something quick and I was on the road or something like that. I mean, to have an option like that, that would be absolutely awesome.
Today's program was sponsored by
Steak and Shake.
All right. Okay. I went ahead and logged in. So let's play this video here because there's all this misdirection taking place, and we're all excited about Ross, and let's not downplay how great that is. Really, truly great that is. But let us not lose sight of the bigger picture here, and that is technocracy is going to be accelerated under the Trump administration. Let me go ahead and share my screen, and let's go ahead and play this video. So this is something that I'm extremely familiar with. What we're talking about is the creation of a panopticon society where cameras are integrated with like emergency events taking place. It's all integrated and ran through these massive data centers. This is something I became aware of back in 2007, 2008, 2009, started Operation Defuse with my ex-wife. We went around the country visiting these fusion centers, and these fusion centers wanted to do like pre-crime type stuff, much like Minority Report, and integrate all the cameras from the local police department and the university and the private sector cameras that they have. And now this is exactly what we see taking place. And while they're like, we got 500 billion here with Stargate, it's going to help with health and stuff. They're building these data centers. They're modernizing the data collection and information sharing practices of the federal government so as to create this one massive hive mind, New World Order technocratic nonsense. So let me share my screen here and make sure I can share the audio.
This guy
here.
also looks like an alien humanoid.
This guy looks like a total humanoid, total piece of crap. These damn humanoids.
Schizoid humanoid.
Schizo rabbit hat. Well, where the hell which one is this? Establishing 500 billion.
Why don't you just use
that one? Doesn't do the audio window. To share audio, share a tab or screen instead. Here we go. All right, here we go. This is it. All right, you guys let me know if y'all can hear the audio there in the chat, and let's go ahead and take it away. This is Larry Ellison talking about how they want to basically know everything that's happening.
The police will be on their best behavior because we're constantly watching and recording everything that's going on. Citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on. And it's unimpeachable. The cars have cameras on them. I think we have a squad car here someplace. But those kind of applications using AI, if we can use AI, and we're using AI to monitor the video. So if that altercation that occurred in Memphis, the chief of police would be immediately notified. It's not people that are looking at those cameras, it's AI that's looking at the camera. No, you can't do this. It would be like a shooting. That's going to be an event that's immediately, an alarm is going to go off, it's going to be, and we're going to have supervision. In other words, every police officer is going to be supervised at all times. And the supervision will, and if there's a problem, AI will report the problem and report it to the appropriate person, whether it's the sheriff or the chief or whomever we need to take control of the situation. We have, same thing. We have drones. If there's something going on in a shopping center, and I'll stop, a drone goes out there, get there way faster than a police car. There's no reason for, by the way, high-speed chases. You shouldn't have high-speed chases between cars. You just have a drone follow the car. I mean, it's very, very simple. And the new generation of autonomous drones.
You got to understand, folks. I was watching this nonsense back in 2010 when I learned about the Austin Regional Intelligence Center, their fusion center. The police chief was like, we're going to be able to see all the cameras coming into one central place. And if there's a protest or people gathering, we'll be able to identify it right away. It's the same kind of deal. They're building a panopticon society. Part of the conspiracy is to be aware, guys. Be aware. There's a conspiracy at play where Trump's going to
People are still saying the sound is off.
Oh, we should be good now. We're good now, yeah? You're muted. There might be a delay on the sound.
Okay.
Are we good?
Right. Okay. I think we got it.
We're good. And we're back. So it's just a lot of trouble, and I want everyone to be aware that Trump's going to do some good stuff. Maybe he's going to help roll back some of the war stuff going on, ceasefire, whatever. But all the while, you're going to be looking at this shiny stuff over here, and all the while, the technocracy is going to be implemented. And if there's enemy number one for our freedom community, it is technocratic control grid, CBDC, AI analysis, social credit score, digital ID, and vaccine passport, which is going to be like your ability to travel or leave a certain area will be contingent upon your status. If you're up to date on your shots, if you have a green MyPass carbon allotment, you haven't exceeded your carbon allotment for the day, you'll be able to travel beyond Sector 3 or whatever the hell. All this nonsense you see in the science fiction movies is literally coming true right before our very eyes. And in order to roll it out, they very well have to do this kind of chicanery. It's kind of like, let me think. I can't think of an analogy right now, but here's the play. Carol Quigley, Professor Carol Quigley. You guys know Carol Quigley? You know Carol Quigley, right, Brian?
Yep.
Carol Quigley wrote a book called Tragedy and Hope. And in that book, he laid out how the international bankers use left and right just the same in order to carry out their agenda. I'm trying to find a quote real quick. Left, progressive left guide. Let me see. What do you got there about the globalists? Problem, reaction, solution, reggae.
It's
interesting.
It's the same thing that I've said all along. And I know John's gonna laugh.
Here we go.
The Bilderberg Group. The Bilderberg Group. I mean, it's the classic example. I give this example all the time. In the 1990s, it was the Republicans and George H.W. Bush, and then in 2 years later, in 1992, it was the Democrats and Bill Clinton. Each one was members of the Bilderberg Group.
The Bildies.
And both were used as puppets of the Bilderberg Group to fulfill their ends. So it doesn't matter. It's just a different flavor. Like we say almost every week on this show, it really depends on what flavor of tyranny do you want. Do you want the right-leaning flavor or the left-leaning
Orange flavor?
Orange flavor.
Orange
sherbet.
creamsicle?
Although orange sherbet with a little bit of vanilla in the middle.
You're a sherbet guy. I'm not a big fan of sherbet.
Oh, is it called a dreamsicle or a creamsicle?
Depends on the mood.
I always thought it was a dreamsicle with the vanilla in the middle of the orange sherbet, but other people give me pushback saying it's a creamsicle.
Is it one of those Berenstein Bears things?
Yeah, it's definitely what's that called? What's that conspiracy?
The Mandela effect.
Yeah, the Mandela effect.
Joseph Mandela. Okay. All right. So here's the quote, folks. The argument, this is from Carol Quigley, Professor Carol Quigley, who got inside access to the globalists, who traced the genesis of the modern day conspiracy to create a centralized, totalitarian, global dictatorial government, all the way back to Lord Alfred Milner and the early roundtable groups, which morphed into the Royal Institute of International Affairs, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderberger, Merger, Paul Warburg, mixed up back in the day as well. So he said in his book, Tragedy and Hope, A History of the World in Our Time, which G. Edward Griffin does a lot of great overviews. It's a very thick book. I purchased it at one point and just read excerpts. I never read the whole thing. Anyway.
You still have it?
Yeah.
I've never read the thing. I'd like to.
You should check it out. The argument that the two parties should represent opposed ideals and policies, one perhaps of the right and the other of the left, is a foolish idea acceptable only to doctrinaire and academic thinkers. Instead, the two parties should be almost identical so that the American people can, quote, throw the rascals out, end quote, at any election without leading to any profound or extensive shifts in policy. You see, the globalists, the predator class, they use the left, they use it up, push as far as we can, push. Let's see what kind of policies we can implement. Let's push some green environmental Agenda 21 stuff. Let's push some weird woke policies. And they understand and anticipate. I don't know, maybe they think like, maybe we'll push through with enough and we'll break through the resistance and then everyone will just accept this. And then the opposition will be such a minority, we can ram through with the left flavor. Or they push, anticipating an extreme reaction and a throwback where the pendulum swings to the right, and now the right is ready. But the globalists, they're not like, oh, we lost our control through the Biden administration and the Obamas and the deep state. Not a Biden, of course, it's the Obamas and the Clinton faction, going back to the Bush faction as well. All of them being in bed with the globalists and the Satanists and the CFR and John Kerry and George W. Bush, both part of Skull and Bones back at Yale, right? It's all the same thing. And then it shifts back to the right. And now they're like, let's see what kind of action we can get with Orange Man, Strong Man pushing through. Now it has a patriotic fervor. What type of problem reaction solution can we leverage now in order to push forward the very same policies? Centralization of power, globalism, Greenland, Canada, Panama Canal, digital ID, pushing through with immigration reform, biometric surveillance at the border, CBDCs. We're going to push it through with the central bank and the government sponsored, because when the deep state and the Democrats are in power, people love government. But now it's going to come back and it's a company thing. And we see the big tech bros all in bed with the Trump administration. So now the CBDC is going to be rolled out likely through a centralized, controllable, censorable stable coin, right? All the while, the agenda marches on, and the foolish American public, including many people in our freedom community, are just, well, they're bad. This guy's
We
good.
threw out the rascals.
We threw the rascals out. We couldn't have had Kamala in the deep state. Now we're victorious. He freed Ross. He got us out of the World Health Organization. All the while, through stealth and deception, the agenda marches on. So the mission that we're trying to put forward here on the Live Free Now show, Live Free Academy, Freedom Family Fellowship, Freedom Cells, the People Reset, is to take responsibility for your own life, to focus and align with your own goals in life, and to sit back and watch the Dog and Pony show. It's entertaining. We can comment on it on the show. But ultimately, what's most important is exit and build goals in your own life. Because no matter if it's the left in control, the right in control, no matter if the agenda is advanced and accelerating or it slows down and has some setbacks, when you take control of your life by working on your goals and your own plan, ultimately you will be in the driver's seat of your destiny. If you get caught in the reactionary paradigm of blame and you expect some clown in Washington, D.C. to solve all our problems, then you, my friends, are playing along and being duped by the same agenda that's been at play for 2 centuries now, at least a century and a half. This Milner group has been rolling out their plans. So let's not focus on the election of the day. Let's focus on generational progress towards greater freedom.
I've been thinking about how just remarkable the plan has been here. So the other day, we had someone out at the ranch and they were like, oh, well, isn't it a good thing that Trump got in over Kamala? Like, don't you think that it would be better to have him in than Kamala? And I don't think that was ever really the plan, to let Kamala get in. Now, what the plan was why? So I've been thinking about this a lot. Why did they have like 20 million plus votes in the last election for Biden than this time around? And why did they let Trump win this time around? Why didn't they just flood it again with another 20 million votes if they didn't want him to get in? And so some people would say, oh, they have different measures now for the elections. There's more accountability. I think that's all bullshit. They could have easily just rigged it again if they wanted, come up with a new way or scheme or something. But what they needed was 4 years of pandemonium bullshit so they could bring Trump back, akin to what John was just saying. They needed open borders and severe inflation for people to really feel it, to see the lunacy with all the trans and all the bullshit leftist ideology.
Bullshit, Bolshevik shit.
That's right. And so they needed a buffer 4 years to really build up the resentment and the hate. And then they'd have this overwhelming like push for Trump to get in. And then Trump's going to start fulfilling some really easy promises. Like John said, we're really, really happy, ecstatic even, that Ross is now out of prison. Thank God Ross is out. He should have never been in there in the first place. But that was the easiest thing that Trump could have done. All it was a stroke of the pen. And now people are like, oh shit, Trump, this guy, he's fulfilling promises. He's going to actually take us to the golden age that he says he's going to take us to.
Mm-hmm.
So now all he's got to do is a couple of quick, easy wins right out of the gate. More people fall in line.
Everybody's so easily pleased after 4 years of total bullshit.
Right. The bar is set so low because of all the bullshit that happened over the past 4 years that Trump just has to come in, get a couple of easy wins. People get in line. They start marching to
people settle for an
tune.
HJ nowadays.
They don't even stick the cigar in like in Bill Clinton's day.
Come on.
Okay, John.
He was all serious.
I'm just saying. I think
he's right.
He's right. It's a very well choreographed plan.
You got to give it to him.
You give everybody Trump. Good. There were good times, even though he printed $8 trillion and probably caused all of this inflation. You give all of the inflation and the mess to Biden, so he takes the rap. Then you put Trump back in, and it's going to be the same thing all over again. Fire up the printing presses, get people feeling good, lower prices at the grocery store, and we're just going to fucking take this thing all the way home, baby.
Come on. All right.
Technocracy for everybody.
My friends. Okay, we're coming on the end of the program. We got quite a few people tuning in today. I want to thank you guys. If you're new to the Live Free Now show, I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Look at that little animation. That's the kind of stuff that brings me joy right there. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Chances are you're watching on YouTube right now. A significant chunk of you are. Actually, there's quite a few people on X as well. So subscribe to the YouTube channel, my friends, so you can get notified. Make sure that you hit the notification bell icon so you can get notified when we go live. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And of course, if you're not on our daily email newsletter, we'd love to have you sign up over at livefree.academy/email, livefree.academy/email, where you can stay up to date on our daily email. I do want to invite you guys. We have another webinar coming up. For those of you that are tuning in live, maybe you can catch the replay. If you just miss it, head over to livefree.academy/unlock, livefree.academy/unlock, and you'll get the livefree.academy, Live Free Academy, Unlock Your Financial Sovereignty webinar, the Unlock Your Financial Sovereignty webinar, Trump Effect Edition. So we've done this webinar in the past, but we're going to be hitting you with some updates about the Trump administration and the impact it's going to have on Bitcoin and crypto. There's a lot of good that's going to happen. There's a lot of price that's going to go up. There's a lot of innovation that's going to be allowed to take place, but there's also going to be some chicanery, and we're going to teach you some winning strategies and principles that you can employ. So no matter what happens, you are going to be okay. I also want to shout out one of our sponsors, Brave Botanicals. You can get a free ounce of kratom over at freeounceofkratom.com. That's freeounceofkratom.com. We'll ship you. It's normally $15. We send it to you absolutely for free. You just got to pay $5 shipping and handling, and you'll get a free ounce to try. Kratom helps with pain, relaxation. The red varieties help with sleep. And then there's other varieties that help with energy. It's uplifting. The one that you get for free is Green Mangda. It's our most popular variety. It helps with all sorts of stuff. You can take a small amount, just get a little stimulation. Take a larger amount, feels euphoric, makes you feel good, takes the pain away, takes the edge away. It's grown from the powderized leaves of the kratom evergreen tree. Again, that's freeounceofkratom.com. And here in the U.S., we'll ship you a free ounce for free as well. And then Ryan, do you want to share a little bit about Off Grid Dream Life, one of our other sponsors here on the show?
Yeah, guys, go over to offgriddreamlife.com. More importantly, click the link in the description so they know that we sent you over there. But yeah, Jonathan England, he's got Earth Waking Village down in Costa Rica. Absolutely phenomenal community. My lovely wife and I went and visited, had a fantastic time over there. Really, really life-changing and amazing. So I would encourage everybody to go over to offgriddreamlife.com, see Jonathan's next webinar. John's pulling it up here soon, but I think it's on like the 27th or the 29th, something like that. There it is. Yep, the 29th at 5 p.m. Central. So go ahead, check out that webinar. He'll break it all down for you, the opportunity at hand. And if it seems like something that you'd like to do, go and visit Earth Waking Village for a week. See what the community is all about. I really highly recommend their community and can't say enough good things about Jonathan. So that's offgriddreamlife.com, and be sure to click that link in the description.
Let's roll. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been great. Again, I want to invite you to subscribe to the channel if you like what you hear, if you're enjoying yourself on the program. We're doing updates on the latest news, but we have a focus on activation, on exit and build strategy. We're going to shoot you straight, and we're going to make sure that you stay in tune to what's really going down during these tumultuous times. Ryan thinks the bottom's going to drop out in the second half of 2025. He read it on a blog. He heard it on a podcast. Apparently, it's written in the stars. Here's my estimation. I believe that January 2026 is not going to be that much different than January 2025. Ryan thinks we're going to be involved in World War IV. World War III already happened with Russia and Ukraine. Apparently.
No.
You said World War III. You said a World War.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to start and be finished by January 2026.
No, I know.
I'm saying by the end of 25. Here's my exact thing that I'm saying.
All right, we need to
just
be
so
clear
there's
on this.
Just so clip this, Vanessa. No, I'm just kidding. But maybe.
Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, let's clip this and post it in perpetuity.
Post it every day.
And hold me to it. It's starting in the second half of 2025. We're going to know without a shadow of a doubt that whether it's China and Taiwan or Russia and Ukraine or whatever it is, World War III will be on the horizon. There will be hold on. I'm not finished yet. There will be no doubt that World War III is taking place. We will see the sides.
World War III will have started.
We will see the sides start to coalesce, and World War III will be in the beginning stages. Now, in 2026, it will have officially begun in Europe.
This is a
hold on. I'm not finished yet. I'm not finished yet. No. This is the position I've always maintained.
Shifter.
So here's the thing that John likes to do. He likes to make things up in his head and then say that you said them, or he'll just concoct like random stories.
Is that what I like to do?
And then just be like,
that's what I like to do. It's one of my favorite pastimes. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
He'll like to make up random stories and then project them onto you.
This guy's got too many creamsicles spewing out his freaking nostrils.
Anyway. Here's the official prediction.
Road to perdition, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. By the end of 2025, we will know for a fact that World War III is on the precipice. In 2026, World War III will start in Europe. In 2027, the United States will get involved, or it'll come to the mainland, one of the two. And I also predict that in 2028, there will not be all 50 states in the union. California or Texas or several other states will secede. There will no longer be 50 states by 2028. So that is my 3-year prediction. We will know.
Bet.
We'll know that it's happening.
Hold on to this file for 3 years, Vanessa.
We'll know that World War III is happening by the end of the year. 2026 Europe. 2027 we're getting involved. By the end of 2028 there will not be 50 states in the union.
Okay. The goalpost completely shifted because
that's what it's always been. That's what it's always been.
And this is just some person you're regurgitating.
No, this is.
I hold them in high regard.
Go to Rune Soup. It's
Let's
Gordon.
have this asshole on the website.
Gordon.
On the show.
He goes on Higher Side Chats all the time. That's him.
Learn magic and animism.
He is a magic guy, which I
This
do not
is
condone.
the guy that you're getting all your stuff from.
No.
This is Ryan's guru.
No.
Guy
Go to
right
the Rune
here.
Soup podcast.
He's got Jeffrey
Go
Dahmer
here.
glasses.
Go to the Rune Soup podcast. So I do not condone magic, and I rebuke that.
I thought you were a Christian.
Austin Coppock is a legit astrologer, and God says in the Bible that He will put signs in the stars. So I'm not sure.
Jesus says we have no idea when it's going to happen, and this guy says that it's going to happen.
No, but He also said that there will be signs. There will be. They give us criteria of when it's going to happen: earthquakes, pestilence, all of these things.
I thought the sign was the stinking
Antichrist.
No, the event that took place with the moon and the stars.
That's maybe one of them.
What do you call it?
That's
the solar eclipse thing. Oh, end times. It already was supposed to have happened.
No, you're way off.
Darn it.
You're way off on this stuff.
Anyway,
Austin Coppock.
It's a retirement community.
Austin Coppock is a long time, like 20-year astrologer, and he and Gordon do a podcast twice a year. So they do the first half of the year and the second half of the year. And then usually like towards the end of the podcast, they get into longer term predictions. And so I listen to this podcast twice a year, every year for like the past like 3-4 years. And their predictions have been spot on, like remarkably so.
We're going to know who the sides are. That's so ambiguous.
Ambiguous. Yeah, here he goes.
Ambiguity. It's so ambiguous. We know what, let me guess. The sides are going to be Russia and China and Iran versus NATO in the West. That's what we'll know by the end of 2025.
If you want a more detailed report, I can draw one up for you.
Put it in writing and mark it in perpetuity. Vanessa.
Anyway, that's what's gonna start happening.
Start happening.
Well, because of Austin Coppock. I'll say it. It's not my opinion. It's Austin's opinion. But he's been right so often on his predictions with these astrological forecasts that, and I know for a fact, what's the old saying? Millionaires don't use astrology, but billionaires use astrology.
Oh, you busted out a good one.
I had to bust out a good one. So we know that the parasitic class of the ruling elite of this society, they use astrology. Austin is a professional astrologer, and he's calling these shots. I think they're going to play to the same tune and roll out, if not the exact same thing that he's saying, very similar things are going to be happening. I think that also in Martin Armstrong, if anybody's familiar with Martin Armstrong, he's got a computer model that he's developed that has foretold various world events like 9/11. His computer model was calling 9/11 like months or years before it happened, as well as other. Okay, John's gonna mess around with Gordon's picture here.
This is Ryan's guy.
Look, he's the podcast host. He's not like the professional astrologer.
All right, guys.
So,
okay, guys.
I'm just saying. Here's my last point. Get yourself prepared. Get your systems ready. Prepare anyway. You would rather be prepared than not. Have a garden. Have some storable food. Have some resources. Maybe
come to the Land Summit 5.
Come to the Land Summit 5. Maybe have a solar generator, or at least some kind of generator or something. Have some provisions.
Manifesting generator.
Have some provisions that you can rely upon if anything crazy were to happen. You'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Okay. Good spiel there, Ryan. Tammy Hill saying, please remind everyone Woods' encore is tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. Now, we got to wrap up the show, but I thought that he already did his encore for folks, because we did a thing with Woods, but there was an issue with the Zoom. And let me go ahead and pull that up to share, and I'll drop it in the chat. Old Tom Woods is doing something to join for free to teach you about
January 22nd at
an
6 p.m.
online business. I thought it was Tuesday.
That's what the email just said. It just said January 22nd.
Well, I sure hope that we got the date right in our email. This has been changing all over the place. Okay, here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
22 at 6 Central.
Show up. Use this link, guys, so we get a little credit action. But it's absolutely free, but you do have the option to purchase the replay and stuff. So check that out. We just dropped it there in the notes or in the chat or in the comment section. I hope you guys will check out Tom Woods' event. It's going down today at 6 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern.
And what's he teaching?
He's teaching the power of starting a simple online business using internet marketing. Doesn't have to be some big giant thing like Live Free Academy that we built up all all massive with all these employees in this big office. You could do something literally in less than an hour a day or like 2 or 3 hours a week, bring him $500, $1,000 a month on the side. Tom Woods has done that and more, and he'll teach you exactly how to do it and do it successfully with ease and with grace. Okay, guys, subscribe to the podcast. We'd love to have you stick around and join us next week. We go live every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central. Every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central. You can also subscribe to the YouTube channel and watch there, or you can head over to livefreenow.show. We also have the links in the show notes if you want to subscribe to the podcast feed. Livefreenow.show will take you there as well. Livefreenow.show, where you can catch all the replays. We talked to Tom Woods just recently, hung out with Danny Katz. This is my speech from Monerotopia. Talked to River and Amani, Ol Hakeem, The Dream. We got an interview with Donald Trump not too long ago. I'm just kidding. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But you can subscribe on Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher. And we really appreciate you guys tuning in.
Who wouldn't want to hear more bickering from John and I on a weekly basis?
I mean, come on. It's gotten to be like
it's got to be entertaining,
50%
right?
of the program. All right, friends, you've been listening to Live Free Now Show, bringing you the news, views, tips, and tools you can use to live free, prosperous, and healthy life. Until next time.